again. How's it going?
It's good, Robin. It's actually been hectic, but good. So yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. How about you?
Yes, same. Very busy, but
Mm.
really good. So thank you for coming along for our second mentoring session. This is great to catch up. How have things been going since we last chatted?
Look, pretty good. God, it was beginning of December, wasn't it? So I've done two workshops since we caught up, and sort of that's been a big part of this sustainability kind of program that I'm working on and delivering those. And they've been quite good. I think sustainability is a pretty, it's not as dry as other subjects, but it's a pretty dry subject. And certification is one of those things that people often kind of, you know, look at you as if, do I really have to do this? And it's like, well, eventually you do. So it's been good and interesting, and I'm just about to sort of um, bring all the information, the survey data all together so I can report on it. But if I'm really honest, I'm ready for a holiday and I'm losing my motivation.
I feel you. So how did the hybrid model go? Did that work well?
Oh, actually, that worked really well. But that worked really well because we had really, like, I did it at DCBA's, our Department of Conservation Biodiversity, sort of one of their offices over in Manjimup, and they obviously are fully decked out with, fantastic smart TVs and all the recording stuff. So it made it really easy that I could just get there and plug in. And I had the online people, and then the people in the room. And yeah, it went well. It's just kind of the only tricky thing is like trying to make sure that you're engaging your online people as well, and that they feel like, they're an important part of the audience. So that was just a bit tricky, because I think I found myself focusing on the people I could see, and because I couldn't always see the online crew because they were tucked away quietly in the corner of my computer, so I could do my workshop. Um, yeah, but at the end, I stopped and made sure that I kind of touched base with them, and if they had any questions that they hadn't been able to ask during the session, that followed up with them and that sort of stuff. So yeah,
That
and
sounds perfect.
had good feedback from what I can
Did you
gather.
have someone helping you facilitate that to keep an eye on the chat as you were going?
No, Larry's useless.
Well, that might be
Larry,
something to think about replacing Larry with someone named Gary or something
yeah,
who's less useless.
Larry's the CEO who was just there for Larry, and so yeah, so he handballed everything to me. So I kind of was monitoring and managing that. So that is a fabulous suggestion, and I will definitely take that on as a note and a comment to give back to them to make it, a better and more fluid process. Is that the next time I need to have someone there who can facilitate and coordinate that for me.
Yeah, I've
Mm.
found that in a couple of sessions that we've run, the facilitated discussion. So there's the people participating, the person driving, and then that person in the middle playing catch of, hey, so this person's got the hand up, or that
Yeah,
one's next, or
yeah, yeah.
and it seems very universally accepted. I went to a webinar this week with Temple Grandin, who you may not have heard of, but she's a bit of an idol for me. Look her up. She's amazing.
Okay.
Um, Talking about neurodiversity in agriculture and dealing with climate change.
Yeah,
So
right.
she's an autistic lady from America who has written a heap of books. They wrote a movie about her, which was really good, called
What
Temple
was her name?
Grandin. Temple Grandin.
Okay.
Um,
Oh,
so she has really pioneered low stress stock handling stuff, but
yeah,
she talks
okay.
about a lot of her work now is focused on inclusivity for neurodiversity people and stuff.
Yeah.
And she's amazing. I just have this huge girl crush. Um, she's in her 70s and she's got a real Texas drawl, but she is just phenomenal when it comes to being really frank because
Yeah.
and that's part of her autism is she has no filter whatsoever, so she
Yeah, right.
calls a spade a shovel and she'll hit you with it if you're not paying attention, which is fantastic. um
Love it.
So she's so good. But she had that. So she had, she called him a stop guy or something. But
Yeah,
he was facilitating, going, oh, Simone's got it. Simone from New South Wales has a question
yeah,
about this. And
yeah.
um, it sort of takes away that you don't have to try and focus on everything at once, and you can
That's
focus
right.
on being the amazing you, and they can facilitate the questions and be like, hey, so if someone online's got a question about what to do about phylloxera,
Yes.
and you can be like,
Yeah.
wow, let me switch to our online audience and bring them in,
Bring them in. No,
because it is
that's
hard. You can't
it
do
is.
everything yourself.
No, you can't. And I was aware of that. And I guess yeah, that'll be something that I need to raise with my supervisor, is that if we want to create, like another hybrid version and also record it, then that's what we'd probably need to do for the next one, because the next one, which will be after vintage, so in May or June, will be a bit more complex than this one. So yeah, I definitely need someone then. But that's a very good suggestion. I will absolutely ask if they can provide that, and I'll see what they say.
And it doesn't need to be anybody with any technical expertise. It could just
No.
honestly be anyone that can be like, hey, so there's a
Mm.
person online with a question, or
Yeah,
hey, there's a person in the room with a
the
question.
question. Yeah, yeah,
Um, and because
yeah,
the two don't interface particularly well, like it's about making sure that whoever's hand is up first, whether they're virtual or real,
yeah,
gets to go first, so that
yeah,
everyone feels like they're an equal part. Um,
yeah.
So the other thing that I had promised I would get back to you on, so that I don't get sidetracked and forget, is the Biosecurity Act.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, as expected, it it is a federally supported act that's written at a state level. I'm sorry, my fire alarm's just going off.
Yeah.
So I will tell them I am not coming to the fire station.
Are
Right.
you allowed to not go to the fire station? Because if there's an emergency, I'm sure we can.
No, no, it's fine. I am a volunteer, so I can elect not to go, and
Yeah.
that is fine. It's just a silly person who has lit a fire during the total fire ban day. So they, I'm sure they've just had a moment of forgetfulness, and it'll be
Yeah,
out
brain
before anyone
fart.
gets there. Whoopsie.
Yes. Yes.
Or they've
Oh,
or perhaps they're using it to cook dinner, which they're allowed to do on a total fire ban day if it's for food preparation purposes only, which
are
is
they really?
complete. Yeah, it's so ridiculous.
Right. Okay. Because I don't think we are in Western Australia, actually. Hmm.
It's one of
Okay.
those sort of supportive basic human needs things where
Yeah.
if it's to
Yeah.
cook food to sustain life,
Yes.
they're, yeah,
Then, yeah, you
it's a bit
can. Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
take advantage of that a bit too much. Anyway, let's not get
Yes. No, let's not
distracted by
digress.
that, but I do apologize for the very loud beeping if you could hear it.
No, I
But yeah,
couldn't
so
actually.
oh, good. So the Biosecurity Management Acts are state-based. So turns out that Western Australia and Queensland were some of the first to introduce them, and
Okay.
Victoria is actually fairly far behind yours, which is a bit sad. So
Right.
ours still falls under the Livestock Disease Control Act and the Stock Act, which
Yeah.
next year our new one's coming out that'll be all like biosecurity rah.
Yeah.
Um, so I didn't spend a lot of time digging into it other than that. I apologise,
Yeah.
but it is definitely a state-based piece of legislation. And I have it in my notes still to dig into that a bit more and see how we can use that to your advantage.
Yeah, all right. That would be great. I did use the statistic that you gave me to impact just by around biosecurity around that. That there's an 85% likelihood of phylloxera getting into, Western Australia in the next 5 years. And you could just see the room kind of go, oh,
Oh,
right.
that's real.
Yeah, it's that high. And it's like,
Mm.
yes, it is that high, and it's very real. So let's
And
start taking.
it could be worse than that. I like that's
Oh,
one of those off the cuff sort of stats that someone threw around, and I did say I should try and fact check it, and I didn't get very far with that. But
oh no, I mean,
I,
should have also fact checked it, but I thought
it could be far worse, and
yes.
The effect is really detrimental to where you are and what you do. So, the other one I was looking at was Zyella earlier in the week, which is just, earlier in the week, it's a Monday on the weekend.
On the weekend.
Yes, and the impact that would have.
Yeah.
It's been a long Monday.
Yeah, yes, it has. It has been a long Monday. So yes. Oh. Yeah, so I guess, in terms of where it's at, I'm just I guess I'm just a bit presenting takes a lot out of you actually, and that kind of, I guess that being a I guess a source of information, but also actually what has happened since I saw you is Sustainable Wine Growing Australia, the certification program, is actually organised and managed by Wine Australia and the Australian Wine Research Institute. So they're two of our sort of, national bodies. And AWRI, the Research Institute, actually sort of coordinate the day-to-day operations of the program. And a woman in there who I've had a lot to do with on and off over the years, but she gets a bee in her bonnet around the way that Sustainable Wine Growing Australia is presented and the messaging around it. And so she asked if she could see my presentation because I was sort of talking to SWA. And so I gave it to her, and then she came back with a kind of a comment, I'd like to catch up with you because there's some feedback I'd like to give on it, can we meet? And of course, she's giving me this information in between two workshops that I'm sort of presenting. And I kind of said, look, I'm not available, but I'm happy to catch up like this week. So I'm catching up with her this week. But, if you've got anything that's really, glaringly sort of incorrect, please let me know. But I didn't hear anything back from her, but it's more just the frustrating nature in which they are just so protective of the IP, and they don't listen to the users. Like, I'm a user of Sustainable Wine Growing Australia, as well as, kind of, I guess, presenting it and not presenting it, but promoting it as a certification program for the industry. And so it does have a lot of frustrations about it. And so when you're in a room with growers and wine producers and they ask you a curly question around it, I'm not going to lie if what they're talking about is a real experience, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it to say that it's the perfect answer to everything. So I'll be quite honest about this, and I just think that yeah. I'm
Perhaps they
interested.
didn't appreciate your honesty.
Well, look, I think, I mean, AWR, I haven't actually seen the workshop. I don't know if they sat in on the workshop actually the other day because it was open to anyone who wanted to join. And I no, they couldn't have been there because I would have seen them. But it's more just that we are trying to do, a good thing in terms of promoting it, but we're also wanting to be realistic with the users of it, that it will have it does take time, it does take a lot of input, it does take a lot of data collection. So, when you read their website and it says, it'll only take an hour to complete this entry, what they haven't told you is that it might take you a full day, maybe 2 days, to get all the data together to then be able to enter it into the program, which will only take you an hour.
Yeah, it'll take you an hour to enter it, but it might take you a few days to prepare the stuff you need to enter.
And I've had this conversation with them numerous times, is that they can't ignore that quite large elephant in the room.
Mm.
Anyway,
but it sounds like you've handled that really well, though. Like, you've maintained your integrity by not sugarcoating the sandwich that it is.
Yes. Yeah.
And sometimes you have to eat your Vegemite sandwich and just put up
do.
that it's not fairy bread. It
Yeah.
is what it is. It
Yeah.
might have little bit of a bitter taste to it, but it's
Yeah.
full of all the good vitamin Bs you need.
That's exactly right. And I did, and that's exactly the messaging that I sort of gave to the people that were there, is that, there will always be hard work when you first get going with any kind of certification program, whether it's that one or HACCP or any of the OH&S, any of them. But once you've done that first hard sort of slog, the rest of it is more maintenance and kind of reviewing and that kind of, fine tuning, and which takes less time and actually then starts to reward you with the insights. So yeah, the messaging of perseverance does pay off, kind of comes through, but it's just, I find it frustrating that AWRI want you to just kind of show the lovely sort of side of sustainable wine growing Australia without, really letting the user know the nuts and bolts of it. And I just find that frustrating.
I think there are boards like that everywhere you look. You scratch the surface. We have our integrity systems people that are exactly the same. They're like, our system's brilliant. And I'm like, it is, but it's not accounting for our aging demographic of farmers who don't all get online on their iPhone apps every 5 minutes saying,
Yeah, yeah,
But
I
with
know.
any of those systems, as you put it, perseverance, like if you put good stuff in, you get good stuff out. And
Yeah.
they might not see that straight away, but you're sending the
Mm.
right messages, which I think is the really important bit.
Yeah,
But
and that's certainly by the end of it, people kind of, you could see that, because I had a few slides in there. Don't know if I mentioned this before, where at the beginning of the workshop, I sort of asked them around what their thoughts are around sustainability and why they would engage it, and then we revisit that question towards the end of the workshop when they've got a lot more information about, what it can do, benefits, and so you do see, even though it's not necessarily, like hard and fast kind of data, you do see a shift in their responses, and a positive shift in their responses in terms of a movement towards, more engagement and being open to engagement in that space and open to adoption. So yeah, so I guess that's a positive, demonstrates a positive outcome from the workshops. Anyway,
and how long was this workshop?
2 hours.
So at the end of 2 hours, you're already seeing an incremental change.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
stand up, give yourself a big clap. Like, that's pretty awesome. Yes, pat yourself on the back. 2 hours
um
is not a lot of time to
no.
change a mindset that people might have had for decades. So that is something to, you know, it's a struggle and it will take a while, but you've got to chip away at these things. So go you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and I've got, like 2 years in my head. I've got sort of, for us to really see that shift and that kind of the dial kind of turn is a 2-year project, at a minimum of education and having them in the room and holding their hand, along the journey and all that sort of stuff. So yeah. So anyway, but it's good to start somewhere.
You've got to start somewhere. You
You
absolutely have to
do.
start
You
somewhere.
do.
And that is super duper. So what's
Hmm.
next? What's the next big thing on the Ally journey to awesomeness?
Well, the next thing, my two next projects are getting all the data from the surveys in relation to this particular role um, analysed, and then taking from it the priorities that have been sort of highlighted and implementing them into the framework for the next sort of 5 years of this project, and seeing what that looks like across all the different initiatives. And then the other project for me is my wine consulting with Will's Domain, so a winery over here, and vintage is rapidly approaching. So the other thing that I need to do is get all of my wine production sort of processes, I guess, updated with Will's Domains information, so I can share that with the contract winery so they know how I want to make the wines. And that's quite a big task. So
That's
yes,
pretty important because if they don't know how you want them to make it, they're going to make some nasty grape juice that is not going to
that's
be the
right.
delicious outcome.
That's right. So I need to, yeah. So that's, so this week is still this week is still really full on. And then, and then then we get on a plane and come to Melbourne for Christmas with my sister and son and all that sort of stuff. So, but yeah,
Oh,
so I know it'll be very nice. So yeah, but yeah, so there's I thought I might be kind of winding some stuff up, but it just winding stuff up to sort of put it aside. But it feels like there's just a mountain still there.
a huge mountain still to deal with. How's your
Oh.
toolbox going? What about that? Is that
Well, the toolbox is part of the survey. The survey,
okay?
like the information that's coming out of that. And so the survey only closed on Friday. And so this week I'm spending time grabbing all the information out of that, and that will help to inform the toolbox. So this week is, I guess, this week is the week of getting all of that information, that data, and seeing what it looks like. What are you drinking? Is it apple juice or just a really nice big glass of Chardonnay?
It's a really nice big glass of apple cider.
Cider. Yeah.
So close,
Nice.
sort of
Yeah.
halfway between the two.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I was going to say it's a
I,
little bit too golden for Chardonnay.
yeah, I can't quite do Chardonnay without a stem either. I
Mm.
am fundamentally a snob when it comes to glasses.
And
I mean,
wine.
it's a very nice like stemless glass, but
Yes.
it's not a wine glass.
It's not a wine glass. No, no, it's not a wine glass. You can't
I
swirl it as nicely.
No, I can do a Shiraz in a stemless glass. I don't know why,
Okay.
but they're just, it's more of the cozy sit next to the fire with the wine
Yeah.
and the chocolate sort of, I
Yeah.
can handle that. But
Yeah.
no, whites need a stem. I'm a weird individual, but at least I acknowledge it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's okay because you don't want your whites to warm up when you're holding it around
Yeah,
the body
whereas
of
the
the.
red, it's okay if we get it a
Yeah.
little warm and juicy and delicious.
I know. I know. We are digressing though. So
We are somewhat,
we
but
are
that's
digressing,
okay.
but it
So
is okay. The toolkit is like it's going to be like the next project for the next sort of 2 months, or 3 months actually, whilst vintage is happening as well. That will
yeah,
also be ticking away there too. So I kind of need to keep on task with it, and
but that's
I'll
okay.
fess up.
That's something you can work on
Yeah,
during vintage after you've got all your specs and stuff ready for
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Um, so now's probably a really big time for you to focus on your time management and don't
Yes.
forget to make time for you because you are the most important part because without you, nothing else is going to happen, is it?
No, well, and you're right about that. And that's why this week is going to be quite a big week, is so that when I say I'm going to have 2 weeks leave or 2 weeks off with my husband Glenn, that I'm actually going to have 2 weeks off with him and not have this thing sitting just there. You know how they sit just there and they annoy you and you don't
Yeah,
fully
they
relax? Yeah.
I
So
say I'm going to do that too, but I can promise you my 2 weeks will have my phone with me and I'll still look at
mhm,
it. No, I shouldn't,
yeah.
but I will.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, and I, and in that 2 weeks, I will still have to do some Cert 4 stuff as well.
Mm.
Yes. I have been contemplating about postponing the last unit sort of cluster because it's just at the front of vintage, and I'm kind of thinking, oh, do I really want to try and cram that all in or not? And because it just will, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think or whether I just bite the bullet and get it done and then it's done and I don't even ever have to think of it again.
Well,
Mm,
it's one of those, I guess you have to talk to Glenn, think about what you've
mm,
got on and decide what's
mm,
best for you. I
mm.
like I struggled having to postpone when I had other things on and going, oh, I've started with these people, I want to finish with these people.
Yeah,
But then I started with a new group and they're awesome. So, you know,
yeah,
I was disappointed to not see the other guys, but
yeah,
I needed that time to get myself together. So,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, the cert ball will wait for you, but also if you want to get it done, smash it out the park so it's behind you, weight off your shoulder, sigh of relief, thank goodness.
I think
Um,
that's what I need to do because that's the sort of person that I am. Like it will just always be there if I don't just
you're
kind
like,
of
oh, I've got to get back
crunch.
onto that. I've got
I
to put
know,
that
I
in.
know,
I've got to
I
finish
know.
that off.
I know. So I think, it's nice to be able to talk and rationalize it with you, which is, and because you're going through that experience as well. So it is helpful. And the fact that you've also done that thing of where you've postponed it. But yeah, I think if I'm honest with myself, I just need to get it done. But I just yeah, yeah, there's a lot to get done in the next while. I need
Have
to
you
work on focusing on giving, like, committing to the days that I allocate to certain tasks. I need to make that happen, but I find that other things creep into your day, and you know, um, you find
it's
yourself.
challenging, and we always find ourselves
Mm,
going for the things we'd rather be doing rather than the ones we don't want to.
correct.
And then there's
Mm,
also, the life priorities. So
yes.
family first, then
Mm,
the people that finance you. So I go family finance and then
yes.
everything else. Family
Mm.
finance, then fun. So it's always, unfortunately, the fun
I'd
seems
like
to
to have
miss out a
fun
lot.
at the front of that somewhere.
Wouldn't that be
Mm,
good? I think that comes in retirement though. That's what I hear. I'm not ready for that
mm,
quite yet. But
no.
um,
Mm,
have
no,
you
we're not.
finished your module two, so delivery stuff? Neither have I.
No.
I've got one more of the individual things to deliver, and I'm just struggled booking it in with having people available. Like this time of year,
Yeah,
everyone's so busy.
they are. They are. And that's been, well, I'm going to be really honest here. Some of it I haven't actually started. um, but other bits I have started and done bits and pieces. But I want to get my sister, who is Cert 4, sort of trained and everything, and get her to do the assessments. So I think we're going to wait until the new year
Yep.
and just get through this Christmas bit. And then, yeah, probably that first week of, not the first week, but the first proper week of January, um, yeah, do something, do it, smash it out there, and then just
Yeah, get her to come
done.
along to the training that you're already delivering, and then she can certify it without you having to record it.
Well, yes, yes, absolutely. Well, yeah, I can do that too. But yeah, but it's about making it also, like, finding subjects or choosing the subjects, which I have done and started working on, that are relevant to me, but also tick the boxes of, the course requirements. So yeah.
Ah, yeah, I won't lie. I'm a little worried that he won't love mine, but what it is.
Oh,
Um,
exactly. Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
very fortunate for the group training to have one of the guys who was actually a learner in the group, but he
Yeah.
had Cert 4.
Oh,
Um,
wow. That
so
was good.
I know, um, very fortunate that he said, "Hey, I can do your observation thing if you want," which was so good because
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been able to use it if I needed to record it because it was a full day of training. So like it was broken up into three
Yeah.
sessions, but they were
Yeah.
not 30-minute
30
sessions.
minutes. Yeah. Yeah.
And he's like,
Exactly.
well, if you show me your session plans, and like I gave him the session plans and everything else, and he's like, I'll sign that off. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. And he's like,
Yeah.
but I won't be in the quiz so that the quiz doesn't show my name. And I was like,
Yeah.
pretty sure I can work with that.
Yeah. That's okay.
I was like,
Oh,
yes. Otherwise, I had no idea because having like 3 to 4 people that are available for 3 sessions is
yeah,
huge ask of people.
it
If
is.
it's particularly if it's something that doesn't mean anything to them,
Well,
like it's
that's,
not
yeah,
like they're getting a national
sort of
accreditation for
of
it.
their
They're getting
own. No,
nothing.
no. Well, I might bribe them with bottles of wine or something like that.
But it's still like it's still
Oh,
asking a
no,
lot.
it's
And
still,
it's a
yeah,
lot for you, even if you have to
yeah,
bribe them with wine that you
yeah.
make. Like it's still wine that you could be drinking or selling. So
Yes.
there's an
So yes,
expense
but
there.
yeah, so I need to prioritize and make, yeah, and just keep, yeah, time management, just keep chipping away at those things and doing that stuff.
If there's
Hmm.
an, I mean, unfortunately, there's no more online deliverables. Otherwise, I'd be like, I'll put my hand up. You can train me and stuff. But Makes
No.
it challenging, but it sounds
Mm,
like you're progressing really well and you've got a plan, and that's the most important bit. It's when you don't have a plan and you're running
mm,
behind schedule that it's like, oh my God, what do I do? Freak
yes.
out moment, but you've got a
Yeah.
plan, you know what you want to do. You're doing fantastic. Go you. Um,
I wouldn't be saying it quite so much so enthusiastically, but thank you for
I
your
believe in you.
faith. Yeah, thank you for your faith in me.
And my
That
carrots say it's true.
oh
And
dear.
how could they be wrong? They're carrots. They're not smart enough to
Exactly.
make up fibs.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So before we waffle on too long and we end up speaking for 5 hours when you've got so many other pressing things, um, I think we've ticked off most things that
Mhm.
we need to talk about. Is there anything else you wanted to cover?
No, no, I think I'm going to work on trying to prioritize time and just set it, set targets of doing certain things each day or whatever, and ticking off X number of tasks, and yeah, chipping away at the different balls I have in the air at the moment.
Fantastic.
So
That
yes.
that sounds good. Now, when did you want to catch up again? I know we discussed last time, and I failed terribly to send you an invitation, but I think it was the 6th of January, was it? That we were talking
Uh,
about our
was
third
it
catch up.
was it the 6th,
Well, no, I can't remember.
or
That's
was
why
it
I'm
the week
asking.
after? Was it let me have a look. I'm just looking in. Yeah, no, I don't have anything, but
I don't have anything in my calendar either, which is I was like, I don't remember what we decided. And naturally, because
well,
I am very amazing, I couldn't find my piece of paper that I wrote it down on. But what day would suit you? When would you like to catch up again in the new year?
well, probably that week of the 6th to the 12th of January would be good, but I don't know about the Monday because that'll be my first day back from
Yeah,
leave.
mine too. So that might be a bit of a challenge. I won't lie. That could be quite a difficult one.
What about the Thursday or the Friday?
Yep. Thursday sounds great. Fridays always. I never try and schedule anything on a
Anything?
Friday
No.
because we always have the Friday wonderful, um, which is not as it sounds, but
Right.
we always have fun Fridays, which is where everything turns to mud and yeah, cry a little bit.
Okay. Right.
Um,
Okay.
but
So,
let's do that. I'll send you an invitation for Friday the
yep,
9th of Jan once
yep,
we've finished all of this. Friday. Same
yep,
time,
yeah,
same
4
bat
p.m. is
time,
good.
same bat
Yep, same
channel.
bat time. Yep.
4 p.m. WA time.
And then I can
Awesome.
once I can do a follow-up one as well to you after we've finished this. So,
That sounds like a
yeah,
plan. All
does
right.
sound like a
Well,
plan.
thank you so much for joining me.
That's
Um,
okay. Thanks for letting me, I don't know, just talk
for
through
you.
things. Yeah, talk through things.
Well, that's what
Mm,
this is about. It's about us
mm,
supporting each other and that's
mm.
what we're doing. But
It
I
is.
will let you go for now and I'll catch you very shortly on Zoom. I'm going to stop
Okay.
the recording. Stop recording. Stop.